Okay guys, this is Mrs. K and we are going to practice making Cornell notes using Lesson 1, Chapter 2 in the Social Studies, Chapter 3, sorry, in the Social Studies book. So, you're going to need to get a couple things ready. First thing you're going to need is, of course, a piece of paper. Then you're going to need your Social Studies book up on your computer screen. As you can see for mine, I split the Social Studies book and the screen for my screenshot. If you want to split this video with the Social Studies book so that you can easily see what I'm doing while looking at the book, you can do that, or you can use the not online book, whatever works for you. If you don't know how to split the screen, all you need to do is pull from the side. Once you have it full screen like this, put your mouse up towards the top, pull it straight down. Everybody see where I got that box that pulled up? Then just let go, and there it's split. Now I have a split screen. You would just do that with both screens, one on each side. So everybody go ahead and pause the video and take a minute to split your screen and get all of your materials ready. You will also need, 3 pens. Just like they said on the video, as you can see, I'm going to use 3 different colors for my vocab, my information, and any other questions that I have. So take a moment to do that. Okay, now that you're back, let's go ahead and get our paper ready to start with our video. I'm going to pull this up just a little bit so hopefully you've got a little better shot of what I'm doing. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is split my page just like he did. I'm going to choose one of my colors. As he had said before, you can use your 3 fingers to space out a little bit of space. After you get past your first red line, I'm going to start with just a small little line, okay? And then I'm going to take that from the almost all the way to the top, straight down. Now you're going to notice that I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom. I'm going to stop to give myself a little bit of space on the very bottom of the paper. This is going to be our summary and our reflection of what we just read. Then I'm going to put a T across the top so that my paper will look about like this. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is label my heading. This is Chapter 3, Lesson 1. I think with Social Studies it's very important to make sure to put that each time. So I'm going to start with Chapter 3, Lesson 1. And then I'm going to put the title, Exploration and Technology. Okay, so make sure you get all that down. Now, remember, the left side is going to be for your big ideas, your vocab words, and your questions, okay? One thing I want to point out before we get a lot into our reading, you will notice that the beginning of the lesson, right over here, has a what to know section, okay? This gives me a big question that's probably going to be important for me to pay attention to. So as I'm reading, I'm going to want to focus on this big question, since that's obviously what they want me to learn throughout this lesson. Okay? As you can see, in our book, vocab is also highlighted in yellow, so that makes it nice and easy for me to follow. Okay? Again, in this book, finally, we also have, for this section, the important people. So this is something I'm going to want to pay attention to, the important people and important places as I read. So let's go ahead and start doing some of the reading and see what there might be that's important. So we're going to read this first section and then see what we think might be important to put in. Okay? It is the winter of 1470 in your small village in Spain. The fire crackles as your father reads aloud from a book. The words describe a faraway land in Asia called Cathay. It is a place of amazing cities and great riches. An explorer named Marco Polo wrote the book long ago. Now, thanks to a new kind of printing press, many Europeans are reading Polo's book for the first time. As you listen, you dream of sailing to Asia and finding adventures and riches. Well, this is certainly an interesting part. What it really is just that introduction to give us an idea, get us in that peace of mind. Nothing we need to write down necessarily yet. We do have a picture of Marco Polo, but again, I don't think that's going to be necessary to write. Okay, then to switch to the next page, if you didn't know that yet, you click the next. All right, our next title is A Rush of New Ideas. Now, I noticed from looking at here that we have the printing press. The printing press seems to be something that's pretty important. The printing press used small metal pieces, each with raised letter or number. Ink was spread over the pieces, and a large screw was turned to press them into paper. That seems pretty important. Let's wait and find out. Okay? Then our next section is A Rush of New Ideas. Okay? I'm going to use one of my colors. My purple is going to be my main ideas. Okay? So my next section is going to be A Rush of New Ideas. Let's see what this section has to say about some of these new ideas. Let's go ahead and read this first section and see what we think might be important, okay? Okay, I noticed they talk about the printing press and how it changed the world. I'm going to put the printing press in pink because pink is going to be my colorful vocabulary. So I'm going to write the words printing press here because I think that, while maybe not one of the vocabulary words from the chapter, is still going to be a very important vocabulary word. So printing press, and why am I going to write about the printing press? I think the printing press is important because, as you can see right here, it helped with the spread of new ideas. This allowed people to tell each other what they were doing and why they were doing things, okay? So, invention helped spread new ideas and put books in many new hands. People who had not been able to afford books could all of a sudden afford books. That's a huge deal. It teaches them, it gives them ideas that they've never had before, okay? Let's talk about Marco Polo now. Marco Polo and the Trade with Asia. The most popular books during the Renaissance was the Travels of Marco Polo. Written almost 200 years ago, it tells of Marco Polo's voyage to Cathay, as China was then called. Europeans were amazed to read about Chinese inventions such as gunpowder and the compass, a tool for finding directions. European merchants were interested in the riches Marco Polo wrote about. They wanted to buy and then resell Asian goods as silks and spices. Soon, traders from Europe began traveling the long, difficult land routes to Asia. At the time, no Europeans had traveled to Asia by sea. They had no maps that showed the world correctly. Sailors also lacked the technology or scientific knowledge and tools needed for such a long trip. Sailors and scientists began working to solve these problems. So one thing that I want to put about is the problem, okay? European merchants wanted riches. This is an important paragraph right here. They wanted riches, but the travel was a very long and difficult one across land to Asia, okay? And people just didn't have the technology to be able to do that. I'm going to go back to purple, which is my one for just main ideas, okay? and I'm going to put why people wanted to travel. That's my main idea now. Okay, they wanted to travel to get riches. They wanted to be able to sell Asian goods. For example, silk and spices. Okay, why didn't they? Well, they didn't travel because along land, it was a very difficult route, okay? The route was difficult along land. And they didn't have the technology to make the long trip. And I'm going to grab my pink and I'm going to put in the word technology because that's another vocab word. This one they even chose to highlight in yellow. Okay, so technology is simply scientific tools and knowledge and that's it. That's all that technology is, scientific tools and knowledge. Okay, some examples. What I want to do is maybe think about some examples that maybe they're talking about. I'm thinking maybe a compass. Okay. A compass might be something that they would need. They didn't tell me that, but I'm going to guess that probably a compass is a pretty important scientific tool that they might need if they're going to try this kind of long trip. Okay. Now, I'm going to go down here, and down here at the bottom, this is my reflection. This is when I'm going to move to my next color, for me, blue. This is when I'm going to talk about ideas, okay? As you can see, our book actually has some main ideas and details set up right here for you with a specific question that you can answer. What problems kept Europeans from sailing to Asia? Okay, I'm going to write my question over here on the side. And I'm going to take a minute from traveling to Asia. Okay, so what problems did? Okay, so many did not have the tools. Okay, so I think Europeans didn't travel to Asia because they simply didn't have the resources. Okay, most Europeans didn't have the technology and resources. to make the trip on land. Okay, plain and simple. Now, we're going to go ahead and work on one more section of the book, just to get a little bit more practice before I have you move on your own. Okay, so I'm going to switch to another page. I'm starting a new one, so the first thing I'm going to do is my 3-finger mark. I'm going to do my lopsided T. That's what my 3 fingers are for. Again, I'm not going to go all the way down because I want to always leave a little bit of section for reflection. The reflection, remember, is just going to be a reminder of what you wrote about up here. Okay, that's going to be that quick in your own words. Okay, now this section, as we can see, is the world awaits. The world awaits. Okay, so again, chapter 3, lesson 1, the world awaits. You need to be able to find what section of your notes is what. That's why I always put a heading on there. Okay, in 1418, Prince Henry of Portugal helped solve some of these problems by opening a school of navigation. Navigation is the science of planning and following a route. The aim of his school was to make better ships, maps, and tools. Well, I think Prince Henry as well as navigation are probably going to be pretty important there. So I'm going to go back to my pink for my vocab. Okay, and I'm going to put Prince Henry. What did Prince Henry do? He opened a school of navigation. And when did he open it? He opened it in 1418. Okay. Notice I leave space when I start my next thing so that my notes don't get all mixed up. It's got to be easy to read your notes or there's no point in writing them. Okay, I need to know what navigation is. Okay, navigation, it's the science of planning and following a route. Okay. Planning and following a route. What I think that means is he's going to work on the technology. Okay, so I'm going to write myself a quick little note here. Is he going to improve the technology? Needed to travel long distances. Let's find out. New technology. At the school, sailors learned how to sail a new kind of ship called a caravel. This long, narrow ship could carry more goods than earlier ships. It could also sail quickly over long distances. Map makers at Prince Henry School read the journals of early explorers. They read about bodies of water and land shapes. Using these details, they drew better maps. To keep their ships going in the right direction, sailors needed navigational tools. Prince Henry hired scientists to improve 2 of these tools, the compass and the astrolabe. Sailors used the compass to help them find their longitude or distance east or west of the prime meridian. They used the astrolabe to figure out the positions of the sun, moon, and stars. This tool helped sailors try to find their latitude or distance north or south of the equator. These and other developments made ocean exploration possible. Okay, I'm going to stop right there because I think we have a whole bunch of information that we found right here in this section. So I'm going to quickly summarize right here along, is he going to improve the technology? That was the question that I asked, and I think it just answered it in a lot of different ways. Okay, so how did he improve the technology? First of all, yes, he did improve the technology. Smiley face. Okay, he improved the technology by creating a new ship. It was called the Caravel. Okay, that ship was faster and could carry more distance, could carry more. It's a huge deal if you're trying to bring goods back to make money. Okay, they created better maps. Better navigational tools, such as the compass, and the astrolabe. Okay. All of these developments made, I'm going to start reading again. Portuguese ships began making expeditions in search of a sea route to Asia. Okay, so now what they're going to do is they're going to start looking for a sea route to Asia. So they're going to use these tools to find a sea route. To Asia. Okay. From Europe and sail south around Africa and then east across the Indian Ocean. In time, Portuguese did find this route. Okay. Yay, they did it. Okay. Here I'm going to draw a little picture of my ship. I liked how in the video they talked about how you could have little pictures to help you better understand. So here's my ship to kind of help me remember what we're talking about there, okay? A new view of the world. Now here we have a new section. So I am going to add a new section here. A new view of the world. Gotta know when we started a new section, guys. Okay. Europeans knew about Asia because of Marco Polo's books and because of trade. Travelers had been using the Silk Road, an ancient land route between China and Italy. At this time, Europeans knew all of Asia as the Indies. Europeans also traveled to Africa. They traded with merchants in North African cities such as Gao, Timbuktu, and Jaunay. These cities were the centers of rich empires. An empire is made up of lands ruled by nations that won control over them. Okay. So far we know that Europeans have been to Asia, known as the Indies. Sorry, it's my dog getting a drink of water. And Africa. Across land. Let's add the word empire. I'm going to extend my notes since I'm not done yet. I'm not ready to write a reflection. So, empire, which are simply land ruled by nations. Okay, so lands ruled by a certain nation are considered an empire. Okay. Let's continue on to the next page. We're going to read just a little bit more together, and then I'm going to have you guys start on your own. Okay, I'm going to flip the page. I'm going to do my 3 fingers again. Create my lopsided T real quick. And then I'm going to add continue up here since I'm continuing on with the same spot. I don't want to start a new heading because I'm still in my original. Few Europeans had any idea that there were other countries, continents beyond Europe, Africa, and Asia. I think that's a pretty interesting little fact. Okay. Most did not know that some Europeans had already reached North America. In AD 1000, Leif Erikson led a group known as the Vikings from what is today the country of Norway. They sailed west across the Atlantic Ocean, stopping in Greenland. In time, they sailed to Canada and landed in present-day Newfoundland. While hunting and fishing in the area, the Vikings found the Native Americans. As the fighting grew worse, they chose to leave. The Vikings wrote about their voyage, but not many people knew about these records or read them. For years, most Europeans did not even consider sailing west across the Atlantic as a way to reach Asia. Okay, so it looks like the main idea in this section is Europeans did not sail west to Asia. Okay, now I'm going to make a few little notes on why they did not. Okay, couple things. They were unaware of any land that way. So they didn't know what was to the west. Some people didn't believe that you'd be able to get there going west, so they didn't even try. Okay, they didn't know about North America. Okay. So, my main idea for this is what were the aims of Prince Henry's School of Navigation? Okay, so here's my question. What did Prince Henry want to get out of his School of Navigation? Okay, well, for one, he wanted riches, right? He wanted to get more. He wanted better ships, faster ships, so that he could get more goods from Asia and Africa, okay? So he wanted to be able to get more goods from Asia and Africa. Okay, he wanted to get there faster. Remember, cross land, guys, there's not roads and fast cars and trucks. They're moving very slowly across the land. Okay? He wanted to be able to get there faster. Okay? Now I'm going to go down here to the bottom and I'm going to do a quick reflection of this section. Okay? I think one thing that we've learned so far is that the race to find faster routes are there, okay? I think the Europeans are going to be in a race to see who can get to Asia the quickest. Whoever finds that fastest route, guys, is going to control it. Okay? So if you find a faster route, you control it. That's huge. That's lots of money for these people. Oops. Sorry, guys. When in doubt, guys, if you're not sure what to do for your reflection, a good thing is to always look at this main idea in details. If you're not sure what to do for a reflection, my reflection was kind of its own thing because I chose to put those main ideas and details up here. But if you're ever unsure of what to do for your reflection, that main idea and detail is always a good place to start, okay? Now you have just a couple more pages left in this chapter. I'm going to have you go ahead and finish this chapter on your own and see how you do with your notes, okay? If you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks.